Hello, hello, hello. It is Stephanie here, and welcome to episode 94 of the Rent to Rent Success podcast. Today's episode, something I get asked about so many times, it's the topic of accents. And we have got a global superstar to talk to us all about this, Jose Ubar. Ubar! Oh, see what I did there? Jose Ucar. He's a global TEDx speaker. He's an NLP coach. He's an international business marketing specialist. This man is a lot of things. He's co-founder of Finding Excellence, and he's been featured as one of the top 10 speakers globally. He's featured in international magazines, and Jose's clients include Othership, Sportswork, the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, and the General Assembly. He's got big names there. And as well as that, Jose has a growing community of over 40,000 people, 40,000 online students with his signature world-class communicator online training course. And he's an amazing source of knowledge to give you the skills and techniques to adapt your presenting style and speech content for maximum impact in any settings. And he is an expert in working. If you're in the UK and you have a non-British accent, I know it's something that many of you worry about. This is one of Jose's specialisms. So Jose Ucar, welcome to the show.
Stephanie, thank you so much. What a wonderful introduction. I think I don't need to say anything else. It's all been said. That's probably the best introduction I've had in years. So thank you very much. It is a pleasure to be here and to be sharing some insights with the audience.
Oh, well, even though I did give a slip up with the name, but it's definitely Jose Ucar. Okay. So Jose,
Indeed.
you spent the last 10 years traveling the world. I would love if you could just tell the audience a little bit more about you.
Yeah, I'll tell you about my travels because since I was 5 years old, I remember saying to my mom, I want to travel. And initially, I wanted to be in America because I always, believe it or not, wanted to speak a foreign language. If we're going to be speaking about accents today at some point, well, that's where I started. Then I had the opportunity to go to Sweden as exchange student. And when people ask me when I started presenting, that's when I really started presenting to different audiences because as exchange student for a year, I was supposed to represent Venezuela, which is where I'm from, around Sweden and speak on the different cities about my country. So there you go. I had two accents because I was supposed to do it in English and then in Swedish. So you can imagine. So two accents sometimes at the same time. It's just like, oh, goodness me, no. And after that, I moved went back to Venezuela, then Spain, and then I met an incredible human being, Alan Pierce is his name, and he gave me the opportunity to come to the UK and work for him. And then after that, different things came together, a lot of effort, time, dedication, and I started traveling to different countries representing the business and some of the businesses as well. And what I did was to present to open doors. So that's always been kind of my big thing. I put the presentation together, I put the show on, they get interested, and then I let the engineers and all of the experts to deliver their greatness. So I used to be the door opener and the entertainment manager. So that's a bit of a summary of my career.
Fantastic. So you know how to persuade people.
Don't we all?
Well, some people feel that they don't. You know how to convey your message in such a way that you enroll people, in such a way that doors open for you. I think that is a great way to put it. And at the start, when people are setting up their rent-to-rent business, they need to be able to enroll people into their vision. So they need to have landlords who are happy to give across their property for them to look after, or for us to look after. And they need to be able to go to letting agents and say, yes, this new proposition that you've never heard of before is a fantastic idea. And here's all the reasons why. And I think that can feel a bit scary for most people, actually. Even people who have careers in which they speak to lots of different people, they'll be standing outside a letting agent thinking, oh, I don't know what to say. And it's that anxiety can go up because so many people, as I said earlier, said, oh, I could do this, Stephanie, but I don't think it's for me because I have an accent. And maybe they're worried their vocabulary. They might not be able to find the right word, or that people will not like them because they're not from the UK. Um, so I would love to get your thoughts on where should you be starting from if that is an anxiety that you have. How would you suggest that people start?
Cool. Well, Stephanie, I'm going to go back to the persuasion part of it, okay? Because if we are in business, I would say that is a must. And I don't like to call it persuasion. I've got my own angle to it, which is to positively influence people to reach a decision that it's to their benefit.
Yes.
So my intention in my head is not about I'm going to persuade you, landlord, or I'm going to persuade you, potential client. I want to get to a point in which we both support each other. There is a win-win here. And that's key for me, because I always like to say that we are like parabolic antennas. We are transferring emotions every second. So it's super important that we know what we are conveying at every point of the conversation, of the process. Everything starts within. So imagine you have an accent. If it was for my accent, I would still be in Venezuela. I would have traveled to Sweden, they would have kicked me out, back to Venezuela, and that's it. So there is a structure, not just in the way I do things externally, how I present it. There is a structure up here. There are sequences of thoughts that lead to certain outcomes in everything we do in life. That's why the first thing I would share, I always invite people to get curious about the people that are achieving what you want. So for example, Stephanie is achieving what you would like for your business. So then Stephanie can become your model of excellence. So that can be the person you ask questions to about how is she thinking about these things. What happens right before Stephanie is about to speak to a landlord? She's going to start opening up consciously and unconsciously things that she is doing, and then those are the gems. That's the gold dust that then you can take in. What do you believe about that? What is important to you about that? Who are you when you are about to do that? What's your purpose? You see, I'm going up, and I'm not even speaking about the skills which then you gain in order to do it. But you can have many skills. You can read thousands of books. If you don't have the internal structure in place, all of this is a bit useless, because then you're not doing it. And then that's the people that don't take action.
Yes.
Cool.
It's so powerful. Were you just about to carry on there? Or I do have some insights I can offer.
No, please offer your insights, and then we can speak more about the accent part of it and the anxiety, and I can share some more things. Absolutely. Over to you, Stephanie.
Well, I so agree with what you're saying but people don't like it when I tell them this sometimes. I say, well, the first thing is they say, well, what should I say to a landlord or what should I say to an agent? It is, first of all, how you go into it, because to reduce the level of anxiety, and it's what you said, to focus on the other person. Curiosity is a fantastic place to start because it takes the focus from being on yourself and your anxiety and what you can't do. And the second thing is you said, well, what do people who are good at this now do? So one of the things I do when I'm speaking to a landlord or a letting agent is that I know that I have a fabulous opportunity for them. I know that if they say yes, this is a fabulous opportunity for them, and that there are few people in the world, and certainly in our location, who will be able to manage their properties as well as we can. And so going in there knowing that I have this incredible opportunity for them really, really helps me as I'm listening and being curious to think of the ways that we can solve the problems they have.
And Stephanie, thank you so much for sharing, because that is an empowering belief that you have got something of great value to offer to the person you're going to be speaking to. So instead of focusing on the problem, on the fact that you're anxious, on the fact that you have an accent, that is a beautiful reframe. You start thinking about what else can I focus my energy on? And it's about the fact that you have got great things to offer. And that is always one incredible thing. I always invite people to focus on others. You mentioned that. So that is the start. And you have given your audience a gem. That is gold dust. And can I ask you, who are you when you go and interact with these people, with your landlords, for example?
Does it mean what values do I have? Is that what you mean?
We're going to go higher up a bit now. Who are you? When you go to that bit, I'll give you an example. I am on this conversation. I'm Jose, of course. I'm Jose Ucar. Okay. And in my mind, the first thing that's there up here is the fact that I'm a communication and public speaking coach and a neuro-linguistic programming master trainer. This is my identity at this point, and then I can decide to draw in from other identities, different resources. Yeah. So who are you specifically when you're going to speak? Because I don't carry this identity when I'm speaking to my wife about something else. I may become the husband, but then being aware of the different identities gives me flexibility. What can I draw in from the different, identities? So who are you when you're speaking to your landlords?
I'm a property problem solver. So whatever property problem that they have, that I can either solve it within our business, or I can introduce them to somebody else or give them an idea that would be able to help them, because maybe we can't help them because of the nature of their problem or the location of their property or something.
Beautiful. So imagine, I invite people now to wear that hat, Stephanie's hat, for a moment, and see how your beliefs around the situation change for a moment and how you feel differently when you go and speak. You can imagine that in your head for a moment. So if I believe I'm a problem solver, I'm feeling very differently when I go and speak to that person. Then the skills will come down, and we can speak about the skills next. So one final question, Stephanie, thank you so much. What is your purpose? What is your great why?
Well, my great why, I don't know if it really relates to this, but my great why is to inspire people to live their best lives. And that comes from the fact that for many decades, I was not living by that. I didn't realize that all of this was available and open to us all, as long as we want to step into it. But there are many people like us, like I was, who have dampened down all of their sparks of desire and inspiration. And now, or many of the listeners to this will want to, step outside of their comfort zones. And I would like to be somebody who helps people to do that, to inspire people, and also to help them to take the actions.
Okay, so imagine this for a moment, and this is a message for the audience as well, people watching and listening to this episode today. So imagine, Stephanie, you wake up and you're having a very bad day. You spoke to a certain landlord and it didn't work, because it will happen. Sometimes we fail, even though we take it as feedback and we learn. You failed that day. Imagine if you have that clarity that you share, you reconnect with your purpose. How are you differently when you fail and then you go up and okay?
Yeah, it just helps me knowing that my role is to inspire people to lead their best lives, whether it's a landlord, a letting agent, or the rent-to-rent success students. It just enables me, because it's so much bigger than one person, and you have to meet all of the people to be able to meet the people who you can help. Like, you have 40,000 people who you help. So that probably means that some of the people in the world,
Wow.
would not be a good fit. And
There we go. So there we go. And then you move on. So imagine, so we are much more, if we wanted to speak about accents next, we are much more than the accent we decide to be. That is a tiny, tiny part of our identity that sometimes we blow it up and, yeah, I'm this thing, I'm the foreigner, I've got the accent. And then, oh, goodness me. But imagine if we can actually connect to a higher level, a higher purpose. What are we really here for? What is it that we want to do? And then our accent can become either a block, or it can become something that enables us, a facilitator, if you like, eases the process.
And it doesn't need to be a big purpose. I just want to say that, because people the purpose might be, I want to spend more time with my family. I want to create this other scheme of income. I want to be there more for my family. I want to provide for my family, etc. That's a great purpose as well. And that can also keep you going through, because for many people, that will be the purpose, that they're doing this business to create another stream of income. Perhaps they want to step away from their 9 to 5, or whatever their reasoning is, but it needn't be a life-changing purpose. Well, it is a life-changing purpose. I mean, it needn't be a huge, massive thing.
Sure. Absolutely. Exactly. Don't start thinking that you need to change the world. I mean, if you start changing your life and the people around you, then you are changing your world. And then these people will impact others. So that is the compound effect, right? So that's the power of it. I
Yes,
love that. Thank you so
absolutely.
much for that.
You can be a game changer, I would say, in your own life, in your family's life, in your community, in our world. And it kind of goes in that order. So, but yes, I want to get a few more because I know that people come to you and you give them very tactical ways. And we've started at the high level with the way that you think about the interaction, with the way that you think about your purpose. What should I then be thinking about after that, Jose?
Hmm. So are we speaking about accents specifically now, for example? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we touch on all of these things. So be clear that you are not just the accent. Okay, so yes, I've got an accent. So if you have an accent, that kind of falls under your abilities, skills, capabilities. So by addressing some of the elements above, then you're going to change how you utilize your accent. So on a more, well, it's not going to be technical, but some techniques that you can use is reframe, for example. I've got an accent and I usually ask the question, so what? Well, this accent doesn't let me do this, da da da. Externally referenced. You're blaming the accent for everything else that's happening. Okay, fantastic. What do you think the accent could enable you to do? So let's just flip it. Whatever is problem, oh, I just hit the mic. Whatever is a problem, I always invite people. We tend to be 90% of the time generalizing on a problem based. We look at the negative, flip it, recognize you're there, flip it. So what if I used it differently? Simple question. And then I came up one day thinking that my accent is my asset. And I discovered this special expression or phrase came from Clubhouse because I kept on speaking on rooms and things like that. And then people started kind of mimicking my accent a little bit, but with kindness. It wasn't like, oh, here he comes. No, it was just, hey, Jose, amigo, things like that. And then, wow, I mean, this is really helping me stand out without even speaking much about the topic, just introducing myself. So I thought, there is something in here. And I started reconnecting it back. And of course, it's been a differentiator. And at some point, honestly, Stephanie, was the opposite. After Sweden, I came to the UK a few years later, and I got a few comments on the phone because I started working as a customer service representative. And I got a few comments that were quite negative. I would even say a bit racist back then. And yeah, that impacted me. So that was difficult to deal with until I started focusing on my strengths. You see? So you have the reframe. What is my accent? Regardless of what's happened to you in your life or the people that have told you it's really bad or whatever, how can I use it for? Or take the feedback as well. Because if you say, Jose, I cannot really understand you, then that is great feedback. That's for me to then work on and improve. Because probably back then, it wasn't racist. I decided to take it as a racist comment. It was probably the fact that I couldn't communicate well enough. So I started working, developing it. It's not to say that I want to speak like the English do. I want to speak like still myself, which is a combination of all of the languages I also know that come together. You see, all of my identities is way more powerful than just decided to go for the one skill, which is speak like the English. You see? So you can have all of this, which empowers you if you start reframing it. So is your accent your asset? What else can it be? That's one thing. I'm going to give you another. Whenever you think about accent, think about successful people, and I want you to think about three. Just three. I'm not going to give any names because I want you to come up with your own. I've got my own, that sometimes, I listen to them, and I laugh because look at how successful these people are. Women and men both, three people that have accents that are extremely successful. What have they done with their accents? Think about that one. And I've given you two. What else? Another one that I would like to give you. We've touched on this already. The focus on others. By you sharing your story, sharing who you are, connecting with others in your very unique way, you can positively impact people's lives. So even just like Stephanie mentioned with the landlord, you interact with that person in your very unique way. That person, you're going to leave that person a bit better after that interaction. Okay? Whether it's a sale or a hello and a quick conversation. And that is the principle, because then you're building incredible rapport. You're building a deeper connection. So imagine you engage the person in a way through your accent, through your uniqueness. Then you come down to making an impression, which happens like this. Okay, you see, there goes the accent. Instantaneous. Did I say that right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. Well, I mean, it happens right away. Then that builds, the more you keep on creating that impression as you're speaking to that person, trust starts building up, and then that leads to positive influence. So I would like to quickly, I just made a mistake here, and this is what could have happened in my mind. Two things, very important, by the way, when we make mistakes, when we have an accident. Oh, goodness me, I messed it up. Stephanie's here with me. She's judging me. The audience is going to judge me. Oh, goodness me. And then my state could change. Instead of, which is another tip I like to invite people to do or share, have fun. Have fun with it. You made a mistake, so what? Yeah, you made a mistake. Yeah, okay. I get the big elephant in the room. Yes, Jose made a mistake. And so what? Is that going to deny who I am and the greatness I can share with all of you? So that's it. So play with it. Have some fun. Because remember, we're conveying emotions. If at that point I feel insecure, oh, goodness me, then that's what the other person is getting at an unconscious level first. So be mindful of that.
That is so true. And people do take their cues, from you or from me. And if I make the mistake mean that I'm bad, I'm not very good, and I go into a spiral where I make more mistakes and I feel worse, the other person's also going to pick that up and get that impression, that negative impression. And if I make a mistake and I just carry on and don't make it mean anything, or say, oh, I made a mistake, and it's an opportunity for a deeper connection, because sometimes I get emails through from people who've watched a video, and they say that they really enjoyed it because I just seemed like a normal human being because I made the mistakes, and the mistakes are still there in the video. But I would like to press you on one thing. I think it is useful to think about people who've become super successful and still have their accents, and in some cases I think really pronounce them and really sort of lean into that difference, because after being here for so long, their accents you might expect that they mellowed a bit, but they really use their own way of using the words in a slightly non a way that you wouldn't usually use them. They still stick to that. And so I'd love to know some of your famous names.
Well, I'm going to go, because I've been watching his documentary recently, and some people may like him, some people may not, but Cristiano Ronaldo is an example of a guy that's been probably one of the most successful football players, and many footballers are.
Yeah.
And it's just about mindset. If you watch that documentary, not about him, not about the sport, about the mindset element that he always knew, no matter what, he was going to achieve that, which is another important thing to recognize and work on. Have some goals, have some clear goals, or as I like to call them, an outcome, and put yourself there. Leave that situation ahead. Start putting yourself out there. If it's a house, if it's whatever you want to have happen, put yourself there and leave it, relive it, focus on that. Make it your, as I like to call it, your healthy obsession. Because then every time someone says you've got an accent, whatever, yeah, it's fine. But you know where you're going for. You know where you're pointing at too. So Cristiano Ronaldo is one of them, especially that documentary. I found it very good, and it touches on a few mindset elements if you look at it under that lens or through that lens. I'm married to a Colombian woman. So Veronica Vergara, she works on this TV show. Oh, what's the TV show called? No, it's not Crazy Family. What is it called? Help me, Stephanie, help me. What is it? It's not Crazy Family. Oh, goodness me. Well, Veronica Vergara, if you look her up, she's an actress and she's very successful at her own level. And then Merkel, Putin, all of the great leaders that speak in a different language, that speak in English, that have an accent. Think about all of them in their own style, okay? And look at the positive. Look at what is it that they do. What can they think about? What have they achieved? Not one thing, people. We always look at others. We compare ourselves. But when we compare ourselves, we look at the tip of the iceberg. We look at that little bit, oh, how successful they are. We don't look at everything else that they've been through in maybe 20, 30, 40 years, how much they have sacrificed, how much they've struggled. Those are the things it's important for us to look at, because that's the strategy that enabled them to get to that point. So what can you learn from that?
Yeah.
So that's actually, that would be my point. Some people, there are many people. I really like Cristiano Ronaldo. As I said, I like Cristiana Vergara, Veronica Vergara, because she's Colombian and she speaks with that very strong accent in this Crazy Families TV show that I don't remember the name of.
Okay.
And then all politicians, global leaders, I would say, that speak with accents. Nelson Mandela. Oh my goodness. Mother Teresa.
Yeah.
There you have a few.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's great. And now what I want to move on to is that there are some tips that go across the board. So whatever your accent is, and obviously I've got a very English accent, but whatever your accent is, there are some universal tips for speaking with people in a way where you can, did you say positively influence?
Yes.
Where you can, positively influence. So I'd love it if you could give some of those tips that people can use as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you mean when they go into the interaction with the other human being, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Be with them where they are. Okay. So this is basic rapport building technique, which is around, you go with them, same breathing kind of pattern, rhythm, gestures. It can be seen as mirroring or matching, but don't do it like because you want to mimic what they're doing. Just be there with them, get curious. It's a curiosity element. You are with them, and then you're enjoying, you're creating a common space, and then you go and focus on the commonalities. Again, we tend to be mismatchers, and we look at the difference between that person and ourselves. Look for the commonalities for a change. So you meet them where they are, with their level of energy, with their pace, in the way they speak. You enjoy that process. You start to wonder what can be going on in that person's mind to be like that at that point in time. Then you lead, as I said, with the, what did I say? So you connect in here, and then you lead, well, there's the curiosity element. You're creating that connection. Oh, I said something that was very good, and okay, now it's gone. Remind me, Stephanie, you're taking notes. Maybe help me out. I said,
I can think of curiosity. I can think of listening. I can think of the mindset that you have when you go into the reaction.
Sure.
So I'm not sure.
Okay, well, I'm creating that connection at that point, and then you go and ask questions. If you are, for example, if it's the landlord in this case, so be prepared. Prepare that interaction, because then the conversation is fine. You build that rapport, you build that connection. You may speak about the weather, for example, a little bit, but then go into your structure. Have you created a structure for that conversation, which may go up and down, of course, because we're human beings, but then have an outcome in mind. What do you want to have happen at the end of that interaction? Or how do you know what has to happen? Very important question. What has to happen at the end of that interactions for you to know it's been successful for both parties? You see, powerful question that you can ask yourself. You can even ask the person. If it's a kind of, that's what I tend to ask people when they come on my call. What has to happen after this time, this hour, for you to know it's been successful? And then I can customize the experience for that person to take away what they want, which is even better because you are really meeting what they are after at that point, plus whatever else that may emerge. Yeah. Ask questions. So regardless of the accent, now the accent is just something else. I've given you some tips on that. Another powerful question, whenever you're building that rapport, that connection, eye contact, all of these elements, focusing on the commonalities, that was the other thing I said before. Now it came back. I'm glad it did. Then a powerful question is, what has to happen for me to be your supplier? Or what has to happen for the two of us to do business together? Because you know what happens when by the end of the conversation, there isn't a result or the expected result. Most likely there was a lack of certainty in the process. There was a lack of trust. So there wasn't enough trust being built for that to happen and that interaction to kind of close as you wanted it to. So then what has to happen for us to do business? Or what would have to happen for the two of us to actually move together on this project? And I know then there might be the element in my mind, well, I don't feel like asking for that question. Ask for that question. Maybe the first time it won't sound very natural and you may lose the opportunity. Keep on working on that, because there's nothing like having a plan, an idea, an expected outcome. Otherwise, you're going through life like, when you go and negotiate something, whatever happens. No, have an outcome, have a strategy, have some questions in place. By the way, if this works for your community, Stephanie, I have, I call it the sales winning process, which are different sets of questions for this type of interactions, aimed at not persuading because I want to sell you, at influencing people so they reach a decision that benefits them. And it may be that at the end, you are not the right fit, and that's fine. But maybe you can recommend somebody else. You see, it comes from a place of serving and supporting others, adding value throughout the process.
That sounds great, Jose. Where can people find those questions?
At this point, it's something like very new. I've only created it a couple of weeks ago, so I haven't got it on any platform. If people want to DM me, that would be the best thing. If they DM me and send me, Jose, I listened to this podcast or watch the podcast. I'm interested in the sales winning process. I'll be more than happy to forward on the PDF. And then I will be having it on my cloud and everything else.
So it's at Jose _Ucar_. So it's JOSE_UCAR_. And we will, I know, Jose, that you are coming to speak to our Rent to Rent Superstars community as well later this year. And so I'm sure it will be in place by then, and we'll be able to deep dive more into a lot of these topics. And also, for those of you in the Rent to Rent Kickstarter program, we do have a list of questions for you, which are the questions which are really impactful for when landlords call you. So you can see that, and that will be in the program for you. So, Jose, one of my observations just as we've been talking is that people's voices, the way they sound, not just the accent, but the whole experience of speaking to somebody, because even people with the same accent, there's a different experience of you speak to different people, it's a different experience. Then you've got on top of that who they are as a person, the vibe. You talked about the energy that comes off people. You get to experience that, and you can see their face in a one-to-one, where we're one-to-one in person. You can see their face, you can feel their physicality, and all of it combines, not just obviously the accent, everything combines to really have this unique mix. And as you were talking, one of the people who came to mind was Maria. Maria's a busy mum of 3. She started with Rent to Rent and spoke to people, and she's got a strong accent. And when we were talking on the interview, she said, "Oh, the landlord just fell in love with me." And they really got a deep connection at the beginning. And it comes from all of it, not just the one thing. And then I think, previous episode, I spoke to Konrad Gajda, who's from Poland. And when he first arrived in the UK a few years ago, he didn't speak English. That surprised me because he speaks English so well now.
Wow.
But he does also have a very pronounced accent, and he's been very successful with Rent to Rent. But it's because of all of the things together. He's so trustworthy, he's so committed, he's so passionate. It took him a long time before he got his first deal, but he did what you said, Jose. He kept his mindset on point, even though things were negative in some ways. He wasn't getting the success that he wanted. He kept going because he knew that that success was meant for him, and he's been super successful. So I can see here, Jose, that, or you also said to me earlier that your motto is learn to communicate with yourself first, then others, and finally broadcast your message to the world. So I'd love for you to talk a little bit more about how should we be communicating with ourselves?
I think you covered that beautifully before. So you spoke about all of those elements that make us, and then from there we speak. So when I say communicate with ourselves, imagine just our inner talk. Yeah. So how we talk to ourselves, that can be the beginning of a successful interaction or a successful outcome, or the opposite. So we have that inner voice, and it's not just that inner voice. I mean, that inner voice is everywhere, but it's just then thinking whenever we go, imagine I'm feeling great right now and I love doing what I'm doing. So what is my structure? Am I connected with my purpose? Yeah, I'm doing something I like. My identity, all of these elements are in perfect alignment. So it's becoming clear and aware of your congruent state. So if you are aware of your congruent state, that's magnificent. That's the best way to go out and interact with people and do whatever it takes, prepare in order to get to that point. And that's what I say, that's what I mean by speaking to yourself. Communicate with yourself. Be in alignment, be ready. That conversation you have in here is just helping you to get to where you want to get to, or it's going to serve you in helping the person you're going to be. For example, for me as a coach, I do all of this. So I know by the time I start, I'm the best version of me at that moment in time. It's not to say that it's the best one ever. It's just the best version at that time. The best I could do with my resources available. You see, and I'm present and I'm there for that person. Yeah. You see? And that's powerful. That's going to dictate everything else. And then you go and speak to one person if you like, or to a whole crowd. That's what I call when you broadcast your message to the world. You go out there anywhere, but it all starts from within. And then what you add on top are the skills. But then everything is here, your purpose, your identity, your inner talk, your mindset, all of those elements are there. How you create your subjective experience second by second, how you manage that to your advantage and to support others if that's what you want. And then from there, you learn some skills, you learn questions, you learn how to gesture, you learn to play with your tonalities, how to be more approachable or credible, depending on the occasion, how to build charisma. And all of those things are skills that you learn, but they are going to be underpinned by this beauty that you have here, the beauty that you have there, the greatness that we carry within. That is the most important thing.
Wow, I love that. And can you give us, I love the idea of tapping into the greatness you have within and creating your beauty inside your mind, and that creates so much beauty outside of yourself as well. I had a couple of things. So one, could you give me some examples of maybe thoughts, just to give people somewhere to start, that have really helped, you and your students, if they've gone a very negative, because I know that people really do fixate and hold on quite tightly to the fact that this accent is really holding them back and that other people are looking down on them or not valuing them in the way. So is there anything, ideas for thoughts that people could begin to step into?
Yeah. And this is how I start many of my training sessions, especially training when I have many people in there. This is a great opportunity. All of you, all of us, and I'm going to include myself in there, we carry farty brains. Yeah. Think about it for a moment. We are full of farts up here. So if you're listening to this, which I'm sure you are, laugh a little bit at all the farts that you carry in there. And find a way, find whatever metaphor you have to dissipate them, to get rid of them, bring in the proper smell in your brain, whatever that might be, in order for you to start seeing things differently. That's the recognition that your mind is always focusing on the negative. How can you focus on the positive? Yeah, it might be very difficult. Of course, if you haven't been going to the gym and then you decide to push 100 kilos, you're going to struggle. You may not do it. But how about you start with a tiny, tiny little bit? Simple things to change state. Change your physiology. So I'm standing up because I know my brain has access to 12% more oxygen as opposed to sitting down. So I'm standing up. That's just one example. Or now, chest out a little bit, you see? And I cannot help it but to smile a bit more. It happens. Or stretch yourself, before you go and interact or speak to someone instead of being all closed, which, by the way, this doesn't mean we're closed. It can be that you're cold, but change it if the emotional state is not right. Yeah. Because you can start impacting all of that. Yeah, if you do this, by the way, when you gesture up, this is called the passion plane. So if you do this a little bit, I mean, it's just I cannot help it, honestly. I cannot help it but to get a smile on my face. I'm not saying that when you go before the interaction, hey, landlord, and you go like that, but you do it in your car, you do it somewhere, whatever, to change your state. Think that how you feel, you are going to make that person feel. And not many people have the power to recognize that and change it and help you in the process. So you are the one enabling that interactions to be successful. So impact yourself, your physiology, in order to change this. That's one, from the outside to the inside. And then from the inside, decide to focus on something positive. Think about it for a moment. A happy moment in your life. And if you are that day like full of farts in your brain, you cannot even think about it, then listen to this, and I'm going to give you a happy moment. A happy moment in my life was when I got married. So maybe you said to me, yeah, but then I got divorced and I was all bad, blah, blah, blah. So think about the sun when it comes out, if you like the sun. Think about a time you went to the sea. Think about a holiday. Think about a person you love. Think about your parents. Think about your brother, your sister, your partner, your babies. There are many, many opportunities for you to focus on something that makes you feel in a certain way. Think about it, focus, hold on to that, and then let it multiply. Focus on more and more, because what's going to happen is that ripple effect. The more negativity, the more negativity. Once you take the power away from that, the more positivity, the more positivity. And it's not just positive thinking, it's being aware that you can control your emotional state. Once you control all of this, the voice, everything. Have you heard people that actually sometimes when they speak, they just go like this and then they struggle? Yeah, it's not their voice, it's just coming from within. Unless they've been drinking and doing things like that, and that is really the voice that is not letting them speak. Other than that, it's coming from within. So it's actually sorting, dealing with the stuff, and I have it here because that's where my emotions, most of them are based. So, and then from there you speak. I'm giving you loads. So focus on the positive, even if it's just one tiny bit. Focus on this conversation. Look at Stephanie's smile. What else can you ask for? There we go.
Well, if you want to see Jose smile, and also Jose with his arms in the air, then check out the video of this broadcast will be on rents2rentsuccess.com/94 for episode 94. So you can check Jose out there, because his smile is also a top drawer smile. Jose, it has been amazing having you on the show. You've really given us so much value and so many takeaways, and I feel uplifted just talking to you. So, as we sort of begin to wind down for today, I would love to know any insight or thing that we've not talked about yet that you would love to leave people with.
We have touched on this, maybe. Just remember that you are unique, and your uniqueness can change people's lives. Simple. Your uniqueness can change people's lives. Have I said that? Your uniqueness can change people's lives. Be you with a powerful and great you. Thank you, Stephanie.
That is a beautiful way to end. Now, I know that people will be saying, oh, but Jose, this isn't true for me because my accent is especially, in inverted commas, bad. And so this is irrelevant for me. And people will want to work with you and find out more, especially about those specific programs that you do to help people with accents. So where can people find you and find out more?
Well, to make it super easy, you have my Instagram here. So what people can do when you go into my bio, you click the link and you can book a virtual coffee. And that is the best way to get started. You book a virtual coffee with Jose. Most of the time I carry a coffee with me. We have a chat and we discuss ways in which I can help you. And I will most likely ask you the question, what has to happen for you to know this time together has been successful? And then we take it from there. And I make sure you get to where you want to be and also where you need to be.
I love it. That is a great one. Have a virtual coffee with Jose. You can find Jose on Instagram. As we said earlier, it's at Jose_Ucar_ JOSE_UCAR. Okay, well, thank you for joining us, Jose, for being outstanding and for being uniquely and beautifully you. So,
Thank you.
Thank you all for watching and for listening and for joining us here. Do contact Jose for a virtual coffee if you've enjoyed today and want some more. So until next week, have a great rest of the week. And remember, believe bigger, be bolder, be a game changer. See you soon. Bye for now.
See you. Bye-bye. Thank you.